Welcome to your 2027 Superstar walkthrough on a 4159 floor plan. If you come up to the front, we'll get started. So inside your driver's seat area, on your left-hand side, you've got your window controls, door lock and unlock, window up and down. You've got your mirrors and your heated mirror control. So if you turn that to the left and the red LED light comes on, then the mirrors are heated. So use that if you had moisture or frost on your mirrors. If you push it down again, the heated mirror function will go off. To adjust the mirrors on the driver's side, press the left-hand one, and then you can adjust the mirrors up and down, left and right. When that one's done, switch over to the passenger mirror, then you can adjust that one. When you're done, just press it again, and then you're finished with adjusting the mirrors. The control up in the front here, we can look at that a little easier if we move the steering wheel. We have a lever at the bottom here. If we loosen that, we can move the steering wheel or telescope. So if we tighten that, our headlights are on right now. These are the marker lights here, and that's off. If we want the headlights to come on automatically, we turn it over to the left. If we want the headlights to be on and we pull the knob out, our fog lights are on. If we pull to high beam, the fog lights go out. Now the fog lights are on. To disengage the fog lights, press forward. To turn the headlights off, that's your marker lights on, headlights off. The instrument cluster, starting on the left-hand side, is your RPM gauge. Below that is your oil pressure gauge and fuel level. In the center cluster is your home screen here on your left-hand side. You can scroll through that home page, and then once you get to one that you want to view, whether you're going to the right or left or up and down, is the function. So once I choose one of those and press OK, I can go into adjust or change those settings. Pressing the OK, now I can scroll up or down in that icon. Moving over to the right, is my RPM gauge. Below that is my air pressure gauge and my water temperature gauge. In the center, at the bottom, I have my parking brake indicator and my engine indicator. If I release my parking brake, the red light will go out. Over on my left-hand side is the battery boost. Here, if I need to boost my engine batteries or my chassis batteries with the house batteries to say help it start, I would press and hold down the battery boost towards the chassis side for 1 minute, and that will help give more power to the chassis batteries to boost them so I can start the engine. If I need to boost the house batteries, I just go in the opposite direction. The keys for the ignition are here. Off is straight up and down, and then out. Turn signal here. If our key is on, we can see our turn signal indicators here. Left-hand turn and right. Our wiper washer, if we need to wipe wash, just press that in. We can change the settings for our wiper speed, whether that's delay or on or high. Again, pulling this is just for our headlights, high beam and low beam. On the other side, we have our shift indicator. When we change a gear on the handle, it will display on the home screen. D is drive, N is neutral, R is reverse. I can change from manual or automatic or back and forth when I'm in drive. If I want to shift manually, I would go into the manual shift, and then this will change the gear that I'm driving in. Typically, you would leave it in the automatic mode. This right hand handle can be moved up or down to change the brake, which is your exhaust air, helping assist your coach to slow down, especially on inclines where you're going downhill. Less or more engine brake, you can adjust it right here. Up is no engine brake, and down is most engine brake. On the right hand control here, we have our telephone on or hang up, and you'll have to Bluetooth your phone through the Excite radio to make that function work. We have our cruise control here, set and resume. This sets our cruise control on, and then we'll need to set the speed that we want. This will flash our lights or our headlights. So if we want to flash our marker lights or headlights, that's where we do it here. This goes to the screen that you've chosen as your favorites, and in this case, it's the trip. The parking brake indicator, which is red here, is illuminated, meaning the parking brake has been applied towards me. If I want to disengage the parking brake to drive or go in reverse, I would just press this forward. I'm not going to press it forward because we're parked inside a building, but if I press this forward, the parking light should go out, and I'll be able to put the coach in gear and drive. When I come to a point where I need to park the coach again, I need to stop, apply the brake here to stop, and then pull this parking brake towards me, and then put the coach in neutral here. Moving over to the infotainment center, we'll be able to turn that on here for navigation and radio and cameras. What you have here is a split screen. The screen on the left is your main menu for your radio, core, and functions. The main menu shows your radio, media center, Sirius XM, Bluetooth, HDMI, auxiliary, camera control. Let's say if I'd select camera control, that's going to give me options to view. So in these options, I can choose one of the icons, or I can choose the 360. So if I chose the 360, that's going to show all the way around the coach. Once I select the 360 degrees, I can go back to any of the other views. That's right, that's the rear view, and that's left. If I'm in the rear view, I can press closer up, or further away, or the center one is like the mid-range view. So if you'd like to view the recording functions on this radio, they're new for 27, and you go to the home screen, press camera control, you'll see that there are new icons for recording. The driving is always going to be on record. You can see here it's red. But if you would like to choose to record an event, you can press the left upper record, and now it is recording the event outside on this camera. And you can record that for as long as you'd like. When you're finished recording, you can just press it again, turns off, and then you can go and view those recordings by pressing Event, by pressing this, and then we can select either the driving events or the event that we just recorded. Obviously, we want to go to the events, and then we look for the date and timestamp, and then we can view that recording. So there's just what we recorded just a minute ago. The recording is on a loop, so when you see that's red, it's continuously recording the driving, as any camera will pick up the driving recording, and it's a continuous loop. So that's new for 27. Back to our home screen. We can go through the home screen here. We have an auxiliary, camera controls, one we just looked at. Our navigation, we have to accept the terms. Now we can choose a route or select a route that we might have already had in the memory. Say we were selecting a new route. We could search for a destination, or we can see ones that we may have already been on and then just select that one. We're inside a building, so the GPS isn't going to pull that signal in to help us find our route. So we'll move on to the next one. This is our setup page. Our setup page is what we want to go through when we initially get the coach and set our radio up. Our Bluetooth is a selection we can make if we want to make telephone calls here. We can connect our phone to this device, and then once our phone is paired with the Bluetooth, we'll be able to make telephone calls here with our steering wheel selection. When we're done with the radio, we can just turn it off. Here at the instrument cluster just below the camera radio, the first one you have is your hazard lights. So that will turn on your exterior hazard lights. And then this one is just a blank switch. And then your footwell lighting, just on and off, turns the footwell lighting here. This switch is the lane departure warning. So you will have that you can turn on and off to let you know you're departing your lane. There's a dome light you can turn on and off here in the cockpit. Generator, start and stop. To start the generator, you push up and hold. That starts the generator, and then when you're finished running it, just press down to stop. This is another blank switch. And then you have your antenna up and down here. On the bottom row, you have the automatic traction control on and off. So if you want traction control to help with the traction, you want to turn that on. If you don't want it, you will turn it off. The regen for the engine can be interrupted by pressing the regen switch to off. So if you're driving, you come to a stop and then it starts to regen and you just want it to go off until you maybe reach your next destination, press that to turn it off. The shutdown override switch is for the engine. So if your engine goes into a type of limp mode where you're losing power and it makes you slow way down, but you need to get off the road or to the next exit, you can hit the shutdown override, and that will give you a little bit of extra time, not much, to get off the road. The docking lights are on and off here. And at lower speeds, if you need traction, you can lock the differentials together here, but not to use at highway speed. And the suspension dump for the rear of the chassis can be lowered. So if you press this button, the rear of the coach will lower down, and then once you connect your trailer, then it will automatically go back into aired up. The cluster here on the lower area is your fan speeds for your air conditioning, which is in the blue. So if you want the AC to be on here in the cockpit, you go to the blue. The other ones in white are for heating. And this is the temperature control for the heat on the right and the cooling on the left. And the recirculation button, when you press it, the LED light will come on, and that would be used when you want to have the air conditioning on here in the cockpit. Just below that is your subwoofer and speaker, and to the far right, you've got a USB-C plug. There's two of them, and another 12-volt power outlet. Your seat adjustments are here and going towards the front of the seat. This one is tilting the seat back, and then as you release it, locks into place. This is for your lumbar adjustment here and here. Just press and it'll change the way your upper and lower back is. This is the air increase. It brings the seat up or releases to go down. Once you have it where you want, you can lock it into place here. That locks it when it's down. This releases it so it can move. As you move towards the front, there are some additional controls in the front. This one unlocks the seat so that you can move the seat forward and back here. And this one is the tilt, so you can move the seat. You can move the seat. If I'm sitting in it, you can move it and tilt it up and down like this. There's a bar here. The bar also has an adjustment. If you lift up, and then it locks into place. So those are your seat adjustments. And just remember, since it's on air, it's an air ride, this adjustment will require that there's air in the system. Okay, so we're at the front bunk area here, and we wanted to show you these controls when you're in this area for the light and the upper shade. And once we put the bunk down, we'll show you how that operates. But that is the light, and then the shade is for shade here in the front. So we'll bring the bunk down and show you that. So the bunk is in the fold up position now, and the air shocks on both sides are holding it up. To bring it down, just reach up here and pull down. And then this is the cushion. That is the sky window. This is the shade switch going in the up direction. And now it's fully retracted. To put the ladder in place, there's first a strap. You have to loosen that strap up. And then each one of these extensions has a release. After you open it and connect it and use the ladder. So to retract the ladder, each step has its own retract lever. Just close. Now it's fully retracted and you can clip it back together. Lock it in place and then you can store it up here. There's a privacy shade here. If you want to close that, you can pull the privacy shade down here. Retract it, just pull up and release. So we've moved over here into the dining area, and above it we have cabinets here. The first on the left are storage. Our center cabinet is our AV cabinet, we call it. It's your audio-visual cabinet, so you'd put your satellite receiver or your Blu-ray DVD player. Those cables are labeled. Each one has the name of what it goes to. And there are 2 additional 120-volt outlet plugs in the back so that you can plug those receivers and players in and then stack them. Above this cabinet is your Bose speaker, and you can play that independently with Bluetooth or through your television. The cabinet here is more storage. Under that, we've got our manual shades. Just pull down to release and up. There are crank out windows here on both sides with screens. Just crank to open and close. The shades on the end walls are the same. They're manual. Just pull down and lift to release. There are 2 120-volt outlets with charger ports, USB and USB-C. And of course, the table here folds down into a bed. So to do that, there's a locking mechanism here. The handle, just rotate it to unlock, and then the table is pushed down. So once you remove the seat cushions, just press down. And there's a 3rd cushion in the bedroom that you'll put in there after you put the other seat cushions back. So that's your bed, and it's just the reverse procedure to store it away. Remove the 3rd cushion. Lift the seat cushions out of the way. And then lift up on the table and rotate the handle to the lock position, which is up and to the right. And then put our seat cushions back to use the dining room table. There are 2 pull-out drawers and storage underneath each seat. The TV lift is stowed away on the back wall. To operate that, you can do it from either the small panel at the theater seating or the larger 10-inch panel in the hallway. But just go to the TV lift and press up, and you'll watch the TV go up. And you want to travel with the lift in the stored down position. But once it's up, we can turn it on, and then we would scan for our television channels, whether that's over the air or cable. We need to scan both and make sure that if we're watching over the air, we have our Winegard antenna turned on. And if we want to watch cable, we want to make sure that the Winegard over the air antenna is turned off. So with our television turned on, we'll use our remote control to go to the home screen, press the home button in the center. That gets to this screen. And then this icon here is our selection for menu. So just toggle over to the left here and go to settings. So you'd have to scroll down to settings, then press the center button here. And now scroll over to all settings. And what we're going to do is we're going to scan for channels. If we scroll down here to broadcasting, then we select that. Press the center button again, and we go through auto program to find the channels. So press auto program, and we want to press the start to auto program. We have to have our over-the-air Winegard turned on, and once that's on, then we're going to scan for air channels, yes, and it'll go through the scan and it'll show us how many channels it found. "39 channels." So we can either scan again, or we can go to our different settings or just close. You'll have to scan the same way with the Winegard antenna off if you want to watch the cable channels. So if you want to scan for cable, turn the over-the-air antenna off and then scan again for your cable channels if you have part cable available and want to watch cable. Now we should be able to connect with a channel here. Yes. To go back to the home screen and scan for cable, scroll left, back to settings, to the right, all settings, broadcasting, auto program, and this time we're plugged into cable, we've turned our over-the-air Winegard off, and now we can scan for the cable channels. Obviously, since we are not plugged into cable, we won't pick up any, but that's how you would scan for the cable. And you'll have to scan for channels for each TV location, whether it's out here or in the bedroom. When we're finished, we just turn TV off and go back to the panel and press down. And that, of course, like we said before, you want to have it in the down position before you travel. Okay. So here on the ceiling panel, we've got louvers that the air conditioning and the heat pump from the rooftop air conditioners, intake air and exit air. And the filters for your HVAC system on those roof air conditioners is underneath this panel. So you'll have to bring the panel down and take those filters out to clean them. To do that, Newmar provides this tool in your drawer. There's magnets that hold this up. You'll have to put this in and pull down. After you insert it, then you rotate it After you insert it, you pull down to release the magnet. There are a series of magnets that go all the way down that hold it up. Once we open it, so here on the ceiling panel, we've got louvers that the air conditioning and the heat pump from the rooftop air conditioners, intake air and exit air. And the filters for your HVAC system on those roof air conditioners is underneath this panel. So you'll have to bring the panel down and take those filters out to clean them. To do that, Newmar provides this tool in your drawer. There's magnets that hold this up. After you insert it, you pull down to release the magnet. There are a series of magnets that go all the way down that hold it up. Once we open it, we can see the filters here on the passenger side. Each one of these needs to be removed. Just grab a hold of the circular filter and pull down to release it. And then you'll remove that filter, clean it with warm soapy water, let it air dry, and then you'll put it back and then reinsert it. And you should do that weekly, especially if you're living in the coach. These vents beside it are the discharge for the cool or heat air that comes down through, but these are the return air. When you're finished servicing the filters, you'll need to go to the rear of the coach and do the same thing in the bedroom area. Both panels close the same way. Just reach up and push to close, and you'll hear the magnets attach. So across from the TV, you've got the theater seating. The theater seating has footrests and the seat back reclines. In the center is a storage compartment with a drawer that pulls out and slides back and forth, along with cup holders on both sides. And this is the control for extending the footrest. And once that goes out, then the seat back will move and your footrest will extend. Go the opposite way to retract it. And in the center is a USB charging port on both the left and right hand control. Just to my left is the control panel for the coach. This is just a smaller version of the 10-inch one in the hallway, but it has all the same controls. So if you go to the home screen, you can look at the selections you have. You have HVAC on the top left. You have AGS, which is automatic generator starter. You've got the floor heat, lighting. You've got tanks and TV lift. So once you press any one of those selections, let's say tanks, that takes you directly to the tanks. To get back to the home screen, just press the home screen button here. And let's say I wanted to adjust my floor heat. You can see our adjust for the front, mid, or back. It has to be lit up. Once you make the selection, you have to press the on-off button to actually turn it on. If you don't remember to do that, it won't actually be on any one of the low, medium, or high settings. These low, medium, and high settings aren't in a particular temperature, it's just a range. To turn the floor heat off, press the off button, and once it goes gray, it's off. Going back to the home screen, if we look at the HVAC, we can see we can turn on for the living room or the bedroom. We can adjust the temperature up and down. We have our time, and we can see what the temperature actually is inside the coach in the living room area. If we go to the bedroom, it's just a little cooler in the bedroom, 68 degrees. We can adjust the temperature for the bedroom. Now, if we turn the mode on to a selection, either cool, auto, which selects heat or cool for the temperature you set, or HP, meaning heat pump, FURN, furnace. Fan is just fan only, and off. You can turn just the fan on in the bedroom or the living room for the rooftop air conditioner here. If you turn the fan on, it will continue to run all the time. If you just leave it in auto, it comes on and off with the temperature and the compressor at the same time. The buttons beside it are to hold a temperature, or ECO is to slightly reduce the temperature or increase it. To save, if you're leaving the coach for a while, you can hit ECO. And if you've set 72, for instance, in your cooling, it would allow a couple degrees warmer. If you had it on heat, it would be a couple degrees cooler. Oasis is your heating system. So if you choose Oasis, you'll need to turn that on here at the burner, especially if you're going to take a long hot shower or you're camping in cold winter conditions and you want to make sure that your tanks stay warm. You will turn the burner on. Or if you just need a little bit of warm water, you can turn one element on or both. It heats up the solution and then you'll have hot water. Going back to the back arrow, we're at the screen we were. Again, you have to go to the either living room or bedroom and turn that mode on here, cooling, auto, or heat pump. A nice feature about the auto selection is it will either heat or cool if you leave it in auto. So you don't have to select heat pump or furnace. It does that for you. Going back to the home screen, TV lift, up and down, lights, select the location you want your lights to come on, or all lights off, or all lights on. AGS is your automatic generator starter. If you want to have the generator come on while you're away from the coach, let's say you might lose power or you're dry camping, you'll have to go into these settings and turn them on here with the red on-off button on, and then go into the setup page for when you want the AGS to operate. If you forget to turn the AGS on here and have that red button illuminated, if it's gray, the AGS will not, the automatic generator starter function or feature will not come on. So right here above the entrance door, you have an overhead panel, and you can lift that door open. And you can see you have instrumentation here, and we'll just go over and name what they are, then we'll go over each one individually. You have your Winegard television antenna on and off here. You have your Victron inverter panel control. You've got your Girard awnings control. To the right is a solar prep, which is behind this panel. So if you needed to access the solar prep, take these screws out here all the way around, and then you can get to the solar prep behind the panel. When you first enter the coach, you'll need to turn the battery disconnect on, so the red light would be on. That engages the house batteries, so you have lighting and power in the house here. The entrance lock and unlock, you can lock and unlock the entrance door here, or the baggage doors outside here. The step cover is a cover that extends and retracts right here at the floor. So if I press the step cover, It will extend and retract the step, so I will be able to walk across the step area without going down the steps. The block heater switch is for preheating the engine on cold starts for the engine, preheat. The patio light is for the exterior patio light outside. Here we have the security lights, driver's side, passenger side, and rear. And the exterior step switch, which will keep the exterior step out even though the door is opening and closing, if you'd like that. And then we have our equalizer smart level. You need to power that up, and then you can operate either an auto level here to level the coach, or you can do it individually at those jacks, at these arrows up and down. And then, of course, you have the all retract here. You want to adjust the level of your coach after you come to the park, and the air ride has allowed you to extend the rooms or the slide outs. So in other words, you want to have all the slide outs extended before you level. And our last control here on the right at the bottom corner is for extending and retracting the slide outs. So you want to extend or retract the slide out when the coach is on the air ride. And then also you want to retract those slide outs when you're on air before you travel. Back up to the top, the control here for the wine guard is a scan to search for channels. Once it scans for channels, it tells you how many channels it has located. If you want to rescan for channels, you can do that, or you can adjust here for fine-tuning. But you want to make sure to turn this off if you're going to watch cable. If you leave this on, you won't be able to view cable. This panel is showing you the inverter. The inverter can be controlled from this control as long as you turn it on at the inverter on-off switch first. So once you turn the rocker switch on the faceplate of the Victron inverter downstairs, then you come upstairs and you'll be able to look and view the menu and make those controls to the inverter here. If you press the Pages button, it gives you an overview of what the inverter is doing. The inverter is here in the center, and it's showing you the AC loads here. Just below that is your Girard awnings. The awning is on the outside on this door side, so you can control that patio awning right here, including the lighting, extension, and retraction. So when you enter the coach or exit the coach, there is a switch here for turning all of the overhead lights on in the living room area, or that are connected to the KIB system just by the press of the button down for off or up for on. Just below that is the fire extinguisher. To release this handle, pull towards you and then grab the fire extinguisher if you need to use it. Putting it back same way, and then press to clasp. As we enter in the kitchen area, we have our pantry here and drawers. These are push to release drawers. Right now they're locked. If you try to open them or pull them, you have to push in and then they release. And then push them all the way in to lock. So we're moving over into the kitchen area now. Here at the sink, we have an extension that you can fold up to add to the countertop, and it has two arms on the bottom here to lock it. Just pull those arms down, and then that locks that countertop in place. Below that is a 120 volt outlet. You'll notice in the center here, there's a reset button because it's GFCI protected, just like all the ones in the kitchen. Below that is storage. To fold this down, just lift up slightly, unlock the arms on both sides, and then just lower it down. There's more storage here on the bottom. Small fold-out drawer. And the sink covers can be removed and stored down here. The sink is telescoping, on off, hot and cold. The shade here at the kitchen window is just pull down and release to open. It has the crank open here for fresh air with the screen. There are additional 120 volt outlets here above the sink. It's also GFCI protected, and more cabinet space above. In the back here on these placards, we have the colors that we used from BASF, the Newmar serial number, the gross vehicle weight information, and important notices. This plug is for the microwave. If you need to unplug it or remove it, you can just pull the plug here. You're looking at your Samsung microwave. The microwave has a secondary latch that Newmar installs here. You still open it from the right-hand side, so you just grab a hold and firm pull will open it. And the latch is here, close, as well as the third latch that we put in to keep it latched during travel. Below the microwave, we have your induction cooktop. On the back side of the cover is a cutting board. So you have a cutting board that you can use on both sides. And then the induction cooktop requires a magnetic type pan. This is actually a portable cooktop, so you could take it outside, remove it just by lifting up and unplugging it right here. And then you can take it out after you're finished with it, bring it back in, plug it in, lower it, make sure it's cool, and then put the covers back on. If you happen to turn it on and there's no pan or cookware here on top, it will automatically, the LED lights will go out within a few seconds of you turning it on because there's nothing there. So you can see it went off. So just put these panels back on when you're finished. The drawer below the induction cooktop has all of your remotes and keys with tools. And extra key fobs, whole house filter wrench, HVAC overhead panel pull-down rod, USB stick for your awnings manual for Girard, and tools to adjust the Girard motors or for emergency retraction. Below that is the dishwasher, Fisher Paykel brand. To open it, you'll have to turn it on to unlock the door. Right now, if I tried to open it, it's locked. As soon as I turn it on, you can hear the door unlock. You can see the LED lights light up. Now I can open it, load it, unload it, go into wash settings. If you want to childproof it while it's on, press the lock button, and then everything is locked and it's childproof. To unlock it, press it again, hold, and it goes out. Now you can operate it again. Before you travel, we recommend that you turn this off so the door relocks, because you don't want this to slide open when you're traveling or turning a corner. So press it to turn off. You can hear the door lock. Now you can't open the door, so it won't open in travel. Moving over to the refrigerator, we have a 3-door stainless steel Samsung refrigerator. The Samsung refrigerator has magnetic doors, but Newmar installs this secondary latch which keeps the doors closed during travel. So to the left is lock for all 3 doors. So if you look now, I cannot open the doors because of this latch. And that's for when you're traveling. You don't want the doors to swing open and closed when you're making turns. So to unlock the doors after you come to your destination, you move the latch to the right. Now you've unlocked them, and now you can open the doors. So this is the freezer door with the ice cube tray here on the left. The handle is actually, or the area you reach in to open it is at the top here. The refrigerator will come without the water filter installed, so you'll need to insert and turn to the lock position, which showing right here is lock. So before you operate the water dispenser, you'll put this in and you'll rotate until it inserts, and then you turn it until it locks and pulls in. The arrow will point to the lock. If you need to replace that, you'll need to turn left or counterclockwise and pull it out to replace. There is a QR code that you can scan, and you can view the temperature and controls on your smart device by doing that. Or on the right-hand side here, there's a control for turning the refrigerator on and off and for temperature controls. Outside is the water dispenser here. You want to make sure that you close the left-hand side first and then the right-hand side door last. So we're here at the hallway in your coach, and you can see there's a 10-inch panel here. This is a touch to wake up panel, which shows all of the control icons in your coach. This is the home page, and you can see the icon for the home page is circled, and as you scroll to the next one, it changes that circle to focus in on that control. So we will start here on the left. This is your home page. At the top left corner, you've got your time, your temperature, that's exterior temperature. You have a dimmer switch you can press to slightly dim it or turn it off. And then At the home page, you can view here the house and chassis battery voltages. You can see all the tanks and their level. Currently, we're empty on all our tanks, and our lighting controls are all localized here on this home page. On the left is the water pump, top off for the fresh tank, and the autofill or tank heat can be turned on. If there's a couple gallons of fluid in there, you'll be able to turn that on. Whenever you press one of those, you'll notice that they turn a dark red color, maroon. That means it's on. So if you want that water pump to be on, it has to be highlighted with the dark red or any of the others. And that's true with the other controls as well. They have to be highlighted. If they're gray, they're off. Our next icon over is our energy management system. It also needs to be turned on. If we want that to be on, we have to press it and it will turn maroon. If we turn on our energy management, now we can go through and we can see what is turned on or off, and we can control what amperage we have coming into the coach. Why is that important? If we're plugged into 50 amps, we don't typically have to come over here and choose an amperage that's lower, even 30. Once we plug into a shore cord that's smaller than 30 amps, we'll need to look at the breaker on our power post. So you can see now that we are plugged in to a small shore cord, which is a low amperage cord. We need to make that selection here where it says amperage select. If we go down and scroll to 50, it won't allow it because it knows it's a smaller amperage style plug. So we would want to go out, look at our plug where it's plugged into the post, and see how many amps that circuit breaker is rated for. And then we want to match it by pressing the amp select. If it's 20, select 20. If it's 25, select 25. If it's 30, go with 30 or 15. But make that selection so that you don't have any of your breakers trip or the one at the post. Now we're going to plug back into 50 amp to show you that we can then select 50 and it will stay, because now as we go to 50 it won't, because it knows we're in a smaller amperage. So we'll plug into 50 and we'll show you that. Okay, so now that we've plugged into a 50 amp shore cord plug, you can see it immediately went to 50 amps and is showing 220 volts. We can still select the smaller amperage, but Newmar recommends that you plug into 50 and keep it set to 50 when you're on the shore cord. Our next icon over is for the solar panels up on the roof. It shows the status and how it's charging. It shows the battery voltages, house and chassis. The AGS is your automatic generator starter. That's what the AGS stands for. If you would like the generator to come on, let's say that you have a power loss, maybe a storm comes through, knocks out the power, but you want to be able to have that generator there standing by as backup, so the lighting and interior of the coach stays at a cool temperature. Let's say for your pets, you want to be able to have the AGS come on and you want to enable it. So how do you do that? You have to turn it on first, and then you go into setup menu and you set the times, and you can set the voltages that it would start and charge. When you're finished, you can come back out here and you can view what it's actually doing, what the demands are. We can turn on the quiet time. We can start the generator from this screen. We can start the generator here by turning it on to start, and then we can also stop the generator. If we go into the house icon, this is where you set up the voltage that you want the AGS to come on. So if I set the voltage to, let's say, 12.3, then my house batteries will come on if the voltage to or coming out of the house batteries drops below that. I can also set up the chassis battery start voltage, similar. Scroll back and I'm back to the home page. Our floor heat icon just turns the floor heat on and off. You have to press the on off and then set it to high, medium, or low. It doesn't actually set a temperature. It just runs for a longer period of time on the high setting than it does the low. Our HVAC controls the heating and the air conditioning in the coach, and you can select which room that you're setting it up for. The living room, for instance, is in mode off. If we want one of those modes to come on, for instance, we want it to cool, we can press the mode again. If we want heat pump, if we're cold and we want a little heat, we can use heat pump, or we can just turn it to auto and it will automatically select cooling or heat pump for us, or even furnace, which is our last mode. So we can be in auto mode and everything is kind of an automatic. It will turn on furnace if we're not plugged in. It will turn on heat pump if we are plugged in, if you have it set to heat. And of course, you can turn it back to off and everything will go off. There is an icon here on the corner that has fan. If we press it, we can turn the fan on, the living room, for low here. We can press again, turn the fan on to high. That just gives the air in the coach a little bit of circulation. Or we can select again and it will just come on and off with the air conditioner on cool or heat pump. On our right, if we do select furnace, we will need to engage the burner for the ITR Oasis. You can select AC1 and AC2. Those are the heating elements inside the Oasis ITR. You can leave those on, 1 or 2, and you may not have to turn the burner on if you're only using a small amount of heat or hot water, but if you want a constant hot water shower and lots of heat, you want to engage the burner, not just the elements. Again, turning the temperature up for whatever setting you're choosing, or turning the temperature down for whatever mode you're on. This is where you would adjust the temperature you want, but where on the left here it's showing what the actual temperature is in the coach. Moving over to the Bluetooth pair, this gives you the ability to pair your phone or your laptop or your iPad to what you see on this screen. And if you turn your device Bluetooth on and you press this to pair, you'll be able to connect this screen through a module to your phone or smart device so that you can see all of these icons and actually control them locally around your coach. Again, that's for local control, not long distance. Our next icon over is the lighting control. You can see the lighting control from the home screen or this lighting control, and you can individually control the lighting in each individual room, or you can just turn all lights on and off here. So all lights off or all lights on. Just below that, we have our fantastic vent here for the overhead fan in the kitchen. To turn it on and off, the fan button is up on the top, but if you just wanted to open the lid and let the air go out just by itself, you can open the lid here and that will lift the lid, and then the air will just gradually move out of your coach. To turn a fan speed on, then you would have to press the up and down arrows here after you turn the fan on. So now the lid's open. I can set my speed of the fan here. You can hear that going down lower. If for any reason the lid won't open, fan won't come on, there is a rain sensor on the outside. If that has a little moisture on it, the fan won't operate and the lid won't work, won't open. You can override that by pressing and holding down the down button until you see that red light come on. That means you have overridden the rain sensor. You might have to do that in the full bath if you're taking a hot shower, a lot of moisture in the air, and it can trip the rain sensor to not open. If you want to turn the rain sensor override off, just press the same button, 3 seconds, and now the rain sensor would be activated again. So this is our fan speed here. This is just the lid up and down. To have the fan speed working, you have to press the blue button on top. To close it, all we have to do is turn it off with the blue button. The lid and the fan will shut off and the lid closes. Near the floor is our InterVac system. If we have material that we want to sweep up with the broom, we can just open this and sweep. If we want to connect our hose and attachments, we do that right here. There is a warning label there just to remind you that the filter bag needs to be installed in the InterVac in the baggage compartment area before you use it. And we did that, so once you do that, you can remove that tag and install your hose. With your coach, you have your InterVac accessory bag, and inside the bag are all the accessories, so you can attach that at this location here. And inside you'll find your hose end and your handle where you attach your accessories. So to get started, you just plug it in, and then all you need to do to turn it on and off is just press this button here. If you need help or instructions on how to change the battery in here or how to operate the device, just scan the QR code and you'll get more information online how to use the complete system. If you're going to use the InterVac manually, you can sweep any material here and then just lift this up and you can sweep it in here. When you're done, you just pull the hose out and store it away, but be careful that when you store the hose back in the bag that you don't leave something that might press up against here that would turn it on. So here at the half bath, as we enter, the doors on the inside wall on the back, just above the window, are the 12-volt fuses with the legend of what they power up. Beside that is our breaker panel with all of the breakers, and all of the appliances are labeled for each one. Above that is your GFCI breakers for your floor heat, front and rear. For these appliances to operate, the main breaker here at the top has to be turned on, which is this way. If you decide you need to turn one of them off, let's say the microwave, we just come over here and press to the left. To turn it back on, just go to the right. If a breaker is tripped and you need to reset it, it won't be quite all the way over to the left. It may only be tripped like in the mid area. In that case, you would have to move it all the way over to the left and then back to the right to turn it on. That's how you reset it. For the fuses, the legend for each one is on the right-hand inside door panel. If any one of these appliances or motors is not working, you would go to that fuse, remove the fuse for that number. In this case, it's F9. If the fuse is blown, it will not be attached in the center. Get the same size up here in the spare fuses and replace it. Push it back in and press. These two fuses at the bottom are actually mini breakers. They're like a fuse, but you can reset them. If the yellow tab in the center pops out towards you, all you need to do to reset that is press the yellow tab in, and that will reset that mini breaker. In the center here is the control module that allows you to connect your smartphone or other device to the monitor control panel. And that's done via the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. There is a button here that you can press to pair. You can also press to pair it right at the panel in the hallway at the 10-inch panel. The fantastic vent in the bathroom or the other locations in the kitchen or the full bath can be controlled on the wall or manually just by turning the black knob to the left. Once you do that, it opens the lid and the fan will come on. You can close it, rotate it clockwise, closes the lid, and turns the fan off at the same time. If the fan isn't working or the lid won't open and the fan won't come on, there is a fuse here. Press up and turn left to check that fuse, replace it if needed, and then push up and rotate to lock it back in place. Additional storage here in this cabinet. There is an access plate. That's your satellite prep. This is the receiver for the Starlink. Below that is additional storage. Our Dometic flush module. This controls the water level in the bowl and flushing the toilet. Just press once to flush. As long as the LED light at the top is green or amber, you can flush. If it turns red below it, that means that the black tank is full and you would have to empty the black tank before you could flush. So once the LED light below the green one goes amber, that's a warning you're about 3/4 tank, black tank full. And once it's red, it's completely full and you'll need to empty the sewer tank. This is the bathroom window, which is the same as the others, is cranked to open and close. And the shade, of course, is manual. Just pull down to lock. On my left is the medicine cabinet, overhead lighting, vanity lighting, water pump, backlighting, and adjustment for high or low. The heater fan is for the one behind me at the floor level to turn the heat on here in the bathroom. We can press that, and as long as the ITR Oasis is on, then you'll have heat coming here in the bathroom at the floor level. This fan can be turned on or off depending on how warm you want the bathroom. There's a 120 volt outlet here, on, off, hot and cold, and more storage here below the sink. The same fantastic control is here in the bathroom as you saw in the kitchen. To turn it on is just pressing the blue button in the center. If for any reason it's not coming on, it may be slightly damp or moist. This controls the speed. But if for some reason the fan wasn't opening the lid and coming on, there may be moisture on the rain sensor. And to override that rain sensor, you'll notice in the center it says rain sensor and it has a little LED light. If you press the down arrow and hold it a few seconds, you can override that rain sensor. Just remember that if you override the rain sensor and it starts to rain, you may have water coming in that vent lid. To turn the override sensor off, press the same down arrow again. And now the rain sensor override is off. To turn the fan off completely, just press the top blue button again and the fan shuts off and the lid closes. So when you enter into the bedroom, there is a door here, a sliding door that you can close for privacy. To unlock it, it's in the closed or travel position now. It's locked. It locks at the top. To unlock it, just look at that arrow, push down, it says to unlock. Now the door will slide closed. And it locks in this position. So now it's locked from going open. To unlock it, you have to press down to open. And it relocks back in this position at the top. And that's your travel position before you move the coach. Here on my right is the extend retract switch for the slide out. It says in and out, that's extend and retract. Before you operate the slide out, we have some warnings. Keep in mind that you want to check clearance outside the coach before you extend, and before you retract, you want to make sure there's nothing in the way of it retracting or at the top above the slide out room between the fabric, which is the slide topper fabric, and the roof of the slide. Once you do that, then you would be able to operate it either extending or retracting. And having the coach on air ride, if you have an air ride suspension system, is the first thing you'd want to do is have the coach aired up before you run the slide out. Inside the closet here, you'll notice there's a Newmar bag which has all of your coach information. This comes with every coach. All of your plumbing, heating, exterior electrical, and appliance information with your owner's operator's manuals are in here. And we recommend that you go through these and read them, along with taking the registration cards for your warranty and either registering your appliance online or sending in the card in the mail. In addition to those information cards that come inside of that case, there is another placard that we put on the inside wall here with every model and serial number of all the appliances that come with the coach on that back wall. So if you happen to need a replacement on an appliance and you don't know the model, we put that inside. Below that closet, we have another audio-visual cabinet here for this TV with a 120 volt outlet and plug for your source. Pull-out drawers. 120 volt outlet here. Emergency exit window here. In case you need to exit the back or rear of the coach and you would need to go out this window, to unlock it is just press down, pull out, push, and then remove the screen here. And then we could just push this all the way out to exit the coach. If we're just wanting some fresh air, we can leave the screen in and leave this handle in the locked open position for air. Another hanging closet and drawers below. There is the 120 volt outlet and cord that's plugged into this TV at the top. So in the bedroom on the ceiling is the CO2 detector. It functions pretty much the same as the smoke detector. To test is press here and listen to the tones to make sure the battery's charged. If you don't hear the tones, you'll have to check the battery by pinching the sides together and pulling down, and then taking the battery out. If it needs to be replaced, put a new one back in and then close and retest. On the back wall here is your HVAC temp sensor for the bedroom area. You have nightstands on both sides of the bed with 120 volt outlets and storage area below. This is the louver vent for the ITR Oasis convector for heating. Overhead cabinets here with access ports in case you might need to run a cord or a hose down for, like, say, a CPAP machine. You could do that and plug it in on the back wall there on the 120 volt outlet and then just run the cords down through here. Underneath, there's another control panel here. This control panel is like the ones at the theater seating, smaller but does the same controls. And our security light switches are here. The shades operate the same way. The windows are not a crank out on the end walls in this slide out. They're just a pull lever and then lift, and then once we lift it up, it will lock into position, and then there's two clips that you release to put it back down and then push to relock. If you need to change or replace this picture, the panel is held up by Velcro, so you just pull to release and lift. The overhead panel is the same as the one in the living room that you'll have to release down and access the filters to clean them. The bed has a lift, and underneath is the storage. So once we lift that up, the shocks hold it in place. These small holes are for 2 access panels to go under the bed to access the motor and controls. The air mattress is adjustable. The remote for the air mattress can be adjusted for firm or soft, side 1 and side 2, left, right, and you can press the memory for that as well. So as we move into the bathroom, our first closet area here is our Splendid washer and dryer. The dryer is stacked at the top with the cycle time and heat setting here. The washer is at the base. If you're going to do the wash, we've put a special notice here to remove the outside drain cap before operating the washing machine. All of the water that comes out of this washing machine goes into the gray tank, and you want to have the gray tank gate valve open and the hose connected to the city sewer so that the water that discharges goes all the way out of the gray tank and doesn't fill the gray tank up. If you don't have the cap open and connected to the sewer, the gray tank will back up and will start coming into your shower. We don't want that. The controls are here, and when it's turned on, it displays in this window. There's another drawer here at the base. The house safe is here. It comes with keys, and it comes with a generic code, so you'll need to set up your own code. Just refer to your operator's manual for your safe. More storage area down below here. On the back wall, there's an access panel. If we pull this up, you can see the plugs for the washer and dryer along with the hose connections are there. And more drawer space here. And the medicine cabinet here with mirrors. 2 power outlets here, 120 volt, on off, hot and cold. Heat convector here. And the shower has a lock. This is a travel lock. You want to have this in the lock position before you travel. If I leave it up, now I can open and close the glass doors. There is a magic mushroom located at the base. It's a dark blue color now. What this does is it has a system built in which recirculates the water until it gets hot. Then you could take your shower. It saves fresh water. So as long as your ITR Oasis is turned on and your water is going to be heated, you would turn this to the recycling position and leave it on recirculate until this turns a white opaque color, and then the hot water is available here. So once you recycle, the water's turned on, this will turn white, then you can take your shower. If you turn this back to the left, as long as this is over here, the water is just recirculating back to the fresh tank. When I'm ready to shower, we turn it to the left, and the water will be hot as soon as we turn this on. You want to leave this in the on position for showering when you're hooked up to city water. Otherwise, your tank will overflow. So here in the rear bath, we have the same type of toilet and flush control module as we did in the half bath. But you'll notice here there is an exit door. So this door actually opens all the way out so that you can have an emergency exit here in the bathroom. So we're going to demonstrate that. There is a small window here for air circulation with the screen open and close. If we need to exit here in an emergency, we will have to unlock both the deadbolt lock and the door handle lock. So we would have to unlock it and unlock this. So this one to the left, this one to the right. Now we can open the door to exit. It's obviously a high jump, so Newmar installed a ladder. This panel can be removed and lifted out of the way. Now you can take the Velcro loose here. If I loosen this Velcro, I can lift the ladder out, open the door all the way, and the ladder will, this is your emergency exit ladder, will extend. Now I can exit out of the coach in an emergency. To store the ladder back in its original position, it just telescopes like this. Telescope it back, closed. And then put our Velcro back in and replace the panel cover. It has magnets here that hold it. And close the door. Once the door is closed, we want to relock the deadbolt and the door handle. Now we're ready to travel. So we're standing outside the coach now, and we're going to demonstrate how to open the engine compartment. It has two locking levers on both sides. So this is a rubber type handle. We just put our hand underneath, lift up, and that releases the lock. All right. So now we've already released the one on the other side. So we go to the front, and there's a built-in handle on top of the hood. So we just reach down and then pull towards you to open. Now you'll be able to check your fluid levels in your engine coolant. This is your air filter, your wiper wash solution. This is your air dryer filter. This is the access to your headlamp bulbs, turn signals, and marker lights at the front. Over here you have your power steering, fuse and relay panel, oil dipstick to check your oil levels in your engine. This is your fuel filter. So when we're finished with accessing the engine or servicing the engine area, we just grab a hold here and push to close. And then on both sides, we want to relock, put this latch underneath here and pull down to lock. We're at the front of the coach, and at the very top of the cap are your marker lights, and then you have additional marker lights on the side your turn signals, headlights, and front view camera. In the center, at the bumper area, is your Detroit Assurance System sensor, along with the one in the windshield. And these help you with collision mitigation and adaptive cruise. They should be kept free of ice and snow to work properly. So inside the driver door, we have turned on the light test switch. Once you do that, you can walk around the coach and make sure that each one of your turn signals, headlights, and brake lights are working and lit up. If you see one that's not, you'll need to change a bulb. Once you're finished checking the lights in the front and rear and all the marker lights in the coach, then you can turn your test switch off. So we're looking at the mirrors. They're the same design on both sides. They're adjustable from the inside on the upper inside mirror, but they're manually adjustable here. Just by loosening the mount, you can adjust it more if you need to. And you can also adjust the one here for your step mirror at the top of the window. The lock to enter and exit the door is your main ignition key, lock and unlock. If we open the door, the lock is up here on the handle, which we can use the electric lock. Here is your side view camera. This camera will turn on whenever you're making a turn to the passenger side or to the right. The opposite one comes on when you put your turn signal on to go into the left lane or the driver's side. This has a key, which is a Trimark key. On this model, it's the 2002 number. This is to access the fuel tank here to fill with diesel. And just behind that is the diesel fuel filter for the ITR Oasis and the ITR Oasis overflow bottle just behind the fuel tank. To close, just rotate the lock back to the right to lock. So the awning control for the large patio awnings at the top of the coach can either be controlled with the handheld remote here, or at the entrance, there's a control in the overhead. The L, once it's turned on, means it's locked, so I would want to unlock it. And then I'm given the option of either 0 for a channel, 1 or 2. So 1 is the front awning, 2 is the rear. If I select 0, then both awnings can be controlled at the same time. So let's go with 0 for both awnings, and let's select out and press the out button. And you can see both awnings will come out at the same time. If I have limited space and I need to stop the awnings from traveling, just press the stop button here, and they'll both stop. If I want to just run one in or one of them out, I can go into the selection of channel just to the one and press out to continue to go out with one or the other. Again, just press stop to stop. There is a light button here for lighting, the LED lights, on and off. Or if I go to channel 0 again and I press the light, they'll both come on at the same time or off at the same time. To run them both back in, as long as I'm on 0, they'll both go in. If I just press the in, they'll both retract. Let's stop just for a second and look at the tools that come with your coach to make adjustments to the motor. That would be this handle. This handle adjusts the limit on the motor for how far it extends or how tight it closes. And this is the emergency retraction or extension for both awnings or either one. Let's go to the center motor to see the location where this adjustment's made. At the end of each motor is a small screw Allen head that you can adjust the extension and retraction of each awning. At the very top of each awning, which you'll have to get on top of the roof, there's a small rubber plug that you remove and then insert this into either end of the awning there at the center, and as you rotate that, the awning will retract without the motor doing that for you. This is all manual, so you would have to have a screw gun or a wrench to turn that to retract the awning or extend it. And that would be in case of an emergency or power loss. So we're going to run both awnings in. We go to 0 again, and we press in, and now both awnings will retract. If the awnings are out, let's say that we have them out and it's a windy day, they have a built-in safety feature, which is a vibration sensor or shake sensor. If the wind starts to move the awning too much up and down, the awning will automatically close. We'll demonstrate that. To demonstrate the operation of how the awning closes on a windy day, there's a shake sensor, but in order for that feature to work, the coach has to have power to the motor, and that would mean that you would either need to be plugged in or your inverters turned on, because those are 120 volt motors. So the emergency feature of closing in a windstorm will only work if you're powered up short cord wise or your inverter on. So I'll demonstrate how the awning might shake in a windy environment, and then you'll see the awning automatically close. So now it's getting windy, and the awning will close automatically. You'll notice only the front awning is closing because the rear one wasn't shaking, just the front. And it will continue to close all the way even if I tried to control it now to stop, because the wind shake sensor is activated, it's going to continue to close all the way. So to close the rear awning, we just go to channel number 2 and press in, and that awning will close. So we're at the passenger side first baggage door. So the 2002 key, which is the same one as the fuel access door, is the one for the door locks on the baggage doors. Lock and unlock. Unlock and lock. Or you can use the electric locks and unlock or lock them at the same time in the overhead. In this first compartment, we have the light switch, the manual light switch, on and off. We have the auxiliary air hose that comes with your coach. We have the on-off switch for the auxiliary air pump. Our water line Going to our outside spigot for hot water. This has to be turned vertically in order for water to come down to the hot water spigot, and then of course just open and close for the hot water. To get hot water here, the ITR Oasis has to be turned on with the burner on. Our next compartment back is more storage. Here at the entrance door, you have the steps that open when the door is open, and that's done via the magnetic switch on the door. So when this magnet lines up with the magnetic switch, it opens. To override that, if you want the steps to remain out, in the overhead is the step switch, which we can turn that switch on. It's the exterior step switch. Now when I close the door, the steps will stay out. When you're parked, that is a good feature to have, because then the steps don't keep going in and out as you enter and exit the coach. If you want to close the door softly, let's say someone's taking a nap, you can actually close it and it will still latch in the first latch. There's actually two latches. The first latch is soft close and the second latch is travel. So the first one, if you just want to close it soft in case someone's sleeping, just close it soft like that. It's actually latched, but not for travel. If you want to close it into the second latch, then you have to close it firmly. Now you can see the trim is flush and you won't have any air noise as long as the door is closed into the second latch. To open the screen door and close it independent of the main entrance door, there's a release handle right here. Once you press that down, it unlocks. And now you can close it. You can open it from the same handle on the inside or right here. And then it locks back in place here. It will open and close as long as it's latched with the main door. The keys to lock and unlock, the deadbolt at the top and the door handle lock at the bottom. The Trimark, larger one is the deadbolt for the top. Unlock and lock, that's your deadbolt. And then for the door, it's the 1141. Lock and unlock. In addition to locking and unlocking the door with your keys manually, the large one, Trimark for the deadbolt, or the door lock here at the bottom one, when you open the door on the inside, you can lock it with the red lever here. That's your door lock and unlock. So we can lock that before we exit and close if we like. If we're inside and we want to lock the deadbolt, just turn this to the right and the deadbolt will lock. To unlock, just turn to the left. Make sure it's retracted if you happen to move it when the door is open, because you don't want that pin to break off when you close the door. I can take the key fob here and I can lock and unlock the door lock with the entry lock here. Lock and unlock. I can't lock and unlock the deadbolt. That has to be done manually or with this key from the outside. So now it's unlocked, the deadbolt's retracted. I can close the door. If I want to lock the door now and exit the coach, I can do that now. Close the door, and you'll notice here the door is locked. So I can use the key fob to unlock it. Entry, unlock. Now I can open, or I could use the key. In addition to those two ways, there's another way you can use the handle to lock and unlock the door lock, not the deadbolt. When you get your Newmar coach, the code to unlock the door lock is 123441. So let's lock the door by pressing number 1. You can hear it lock along with the baggage doors. Now let's unlock it. Press the code 123441, and you can hear the door unlock. If we want to use that same code and unlock the door and the baggage compartments at the same time, it's the exact same code, except at the end, instead of pressing 1, you press 2, because it opens both. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2 unlocks the door and the baggage compartments at the same time. So the Newmar code that comes with your coach should be changed to one that you can remember, and you should write it down. You need to use a 5-digit number code, and to enter a new authority code, you would open this compartment here, and there's a panel in the back where the Trimark control module is. Behind this panel. Within about a foot of that panel is a black button that you press, and then this will start to send a beeping tone that tells you it's ready to be reset with a new number. When you hear that and this is beeping, you would enter your 5-digit number one time and then enter it a second time, and then that code is your new code. Again, write that code down because it's easy to forget sometimes. Once your new code is set, make sure and give that out to only the people that you trust, but it will override the code that Newmar put in when you took delivery of your coach. Above the entrance door is your patio light, and just to the rear of the entrance door is your side view camera for the 360 degrees. Your security light behind that. Your kitchen window marker light. And we had this compartment open earlier. This is your Dometic refrigerator freezer. It can be operated on either 120 volt or 12 volt as long as you plug both of them in. When the shore cord is plugged in, it will automatically switch over to the 120 volt. If your shore cord's not in, there's a relay that Newmar installs and it switches over to the 12 volt operation. There is a QR code that you can scan for more information on how to operate it. The touch panel controls are right here at the front. And you'll notice here it has a USB connection on the left-hand side. This can be removed just by lifting it up and out. It's on Velcro. Our next compartment back is a lift up. This is your entertainment center and your fresh tank low point drain. The entertainment center has a Bose speaker for the TV volume to come out, or you can connect this independently with Bluetooth and the remote inside the kitchen drawer that we showed you earlier. To adjust this, just pull out and rotate. When you're finished, push it back and a magnet holds it in place. So in our next compartment back, we have our InterVac system. You can attach your accessories here if you want to clean with your accessory kit, which is here. In this tray, Newmar includes extra tile that are the same lot number and color as in your floor inside. That way, in case you need to replace a tile, you've got the right color and size. The awning rod that we include is for the window awnings to pull down and lock in place. This is for your towing hitch to change the size. And on the back wall here is all of your lighting controls. The lighting control system. So these are the lighting control boards. Whenever you turn a light on with the switch or panel on the inside, a corresponding LED will light up just below that wire, and when that circuit is turned on. When the LED light goes out, that light circuit is turned off. Just above where this slides in to close, the tank heat pads plug is here. As long as your plug is plugged in to your tank heat pads, your heating pads will work as long as they have the minimum amount of gallons in those tanks. There are additional control modules here going back to the TMS C100, which is your main control panel on your interior displays. There is a cover. We'll show you how that was taken off so that you can put that back on before you close it. It's a plexiglass cover, and it has these retaining screws that you just turn clockwise to put the cover back on. Once your cover's back on, this will slide back, unlock here, and then it relocks when it's closed. In our last compartment on the passenger side, of course, that has the InterVac accessories. And the two white modules here are for your awning, your patio awnings for your Gerard that we showed you the remote control for. If for any reason the remote control was not working and you wanted to open and close either the front or the rear patio awning, you can do that manually right here. Open and close are the arrows on the ends, and in the center the button is stop. So if I do that, if I press that button, you'll notice the awning is extending. If I press the center, it stops, and the opposite one is closed. Of course, this is our interior light. This lever is the release lever for the rear compartment latch. If I pull that, you can hear that compartment opens. We want to make sure when we do that there's nothing in the way. In this rear compartment, this is just a storage compartment area here below and shelves for more storage with light at the top. To close this compartment is just reach up and push down to latch. At the top of the rear cap, of course, is your marker lights, your rear security lights, your rear view camera, your third brake light. Brake lights turn signals, and reflectors. So here to hook up your trailer lights, we have the 7-pin round or the standard Bargman plug. And we have the 4-pin flat. So we're on the driver's side at the rear of the coach, and as you open that door in the back here, you can see the spare tiles that are the same lot number and color in case you need to replace one of your floor tiles on the inside, your accessories for your hitch, and then we have our Sani-Con and our controls. The way these work is if you wanted to use the Sani-Con to empty the tanks, you would use the small hose and you would stretch it through here and out. If you wanted to dump it manually without using the Sani-Con, you could connect your sewer hose here and then go through. Either way, you'll need to open this. If you're going to use the Sani-Con first, you need to open this gate valve and then select either the black or gray. If you're going to use the larger manual dump, you'll need to open this gate valve and then select black or gray. If you select the Sani-Con and you open this valve and you choose one of these tanks, you will also need to turn on the RV Sani-Con here so that it expels out the small hose. If you're using the large one and you've opened the gate valve here to let it go through the Sani-Con, you won't need to turn the Sani-Con on, but you still need to open either the black or the gray valves. And that would allow it to come out of the black or gray tank. If you turn either the black valve or the gray valve open here and it doesn't open, there is a small reset switch right here at the bottom of each one that you can reset those two switches. When you're finished emptying the black or the gray tank, you can use the gray tank rinse or the black tank rinse, and we'll show you that up at the other compartment in just a minute. When you're finished emptying the tanks, you want to make sure that you've manually closed this one or this, and then when you retract the hose here, you'll coil the hose back up and replace the cover here. So here is the docking light, and beside it, you've got your storage compartment for your sewer hose. In this compartment is the water bay compartment. And as we referred to earlier, you can actually rinse the tank here for the sewage rinse of the black tank. If you insert a hose into this position here, just make sure that the black tank valve is open and that the sewer hoses are open going down. And you've got each of those hoses open at the end. When you're finished with the rinse, you can put this cover back on. Just below the sewage rinse is our fresh water tank fill manual valve. If we select to manually fill the water into our fresh tank, we want to have that positioned up to the top where it says manual fill. And then we have to be monitoring how much water is going into the fresh tank. And if it happens to overfill, you'll notice water coming out of the overfill valve here at the tank. Once you're finished with the manual fill, you can turn it back to auto. That way when you run the water pump, if you're not hooked up to city water, it will pump it out of the tank. If you leave this up and try to turn the water pump on, it won't pump the water. So you got to have that down if you're going to use the water pump, or if you're going to have it autofill in the coach. To autofill, there's a hose reel with the hose, and this is where you'd want to hook up your fresh water to this hose. So stretch this out to your water supply. Make sure that the water supply that you're getting the water from is not over 60 psi. Before you turn the water supply on into the coach, you'd want to make sure to have the filter in this canister inserted. Right now there's no filter here. There is a wrench in your black tool case inside the coach that will grip onto this area, and it will turn this open if this is unlocked. So you'll have to remove the lock, and now you'll be able to turn this open. And then once you've got this off, you'll put your whole house filter in and then tighten it back up. Use your wrench to make the final turn to tighten, and it will line up with the lock. Put the lock pin back in. And now the water that's going into the house or the fresh tank, filling the fresh tank, is going to be filtered. Remove the filter if you're going to winterize. Here's our water pump switch that we can turn on if we're not hooked up to the city water and get water out of our fresh tank, as long as it's in this position. These two drains for the hot and cold water lines need to be open if we're going to winterize the coach, so that all of the hot and cold water drains out. After those drain out, you want to close them and go through the winterizing procedure with these two valves and the instructions right up here to winterize. Just below those instructions, you've got a small rinse or shower. You can turn on the cold or the hot, and then you can rinse off this area or any of the hoses that you need to. There's a small on-off here on the end if you need to turn it on and off at that point. Yeah, and make sure you turn these off when you're finished. When you're ready to travel and you want to reel your hose in, the hose has a hose reel switch right here on the side of the reel. Just press and hold, and that will reel the cord in, and then you can put the cap back on the end of the hose here and then store that. The wand for the shower goes here, and the light automatically shuts off when you close the door. At the lower level here at the floor in the back, this is the lift pump for water that's coming out of the kitchen. This collects the water from the kitchen sink or dishwasher, and then it sends it into the gray tank as long as the lift pump has motor, as long as the lift pump motor has 120 volts. So that means you either need to be plugged in or the inverter needs to be turned on for that lift pump to send the gray water into the gray tank. This hose is for the winterizing solution. You'll need to remove this cap and plug, insert this into the winterizing potable antifreeze and follow the winterizing procedure, and turn the water pump on to send the winterizing solution into the coach, and make sure you open up all of the appliances so that the winterizing solution goes into all the appliances, and turn on all the faucets at the sinks and the shower to get everything filled with the winterizing solution. When you're done, you'll turn the water pump off and turn these valves back where they were and put the plug back here. That would be the end of the winterizing. In our next compartment forward is our own-end generator. This is a diesel generator. It will only operate if we have a quarter tank of fuel in our main fuel tank. The pickup line for this generator only goes down inside that main fuel tank to the quarter level. That's just a safety way that Newmar builds in so that the generator won't use up all your fuel, and then you'll be stuck wherever you're at without fuel to drive your coach to a filling station. So if for some reason your generator is not starting or running, make sure you have more than a quarter tank of diesel fuel. The on-off or start switch is here. If you want to do it from the outside, you can. Start it. It's priming and preheating now. And then to stop is press down. This supplies your same type of energy or power, 120 volt, into the coach for all of your appliance needs, as long as this breaker is turned up or on. If for some reason this is down, the generator could be running, but you won't have power in the house. So if you don't have power in the house, reset this breaker if needed. If it's tripped down or off, just turn it back on and you should have power. Our next compartment forward is our battery compartment. The batteries are on a tray so that they can be pulled out and serviced if needed. Just take the two locking pins out of the sliding tray and you should be able to pull those right out and service. These are maintenance-free batteries, even though they have these what looks like caps on. These are not removable. These are glass mat batteries. They're not lead acid, so they shouldn't really need any solution to be filled, so they don't need any of the caps removed. What you can watch is the terminals. If they become dirty, you can clean those terminals. The batteries are connected to fuses. If for some reason you're not getting house power from your battery bank, the fuse can be checked simply by checking power here, incoming. If there's no power on the other side, then that fuse, either one, might need to be checked or replaced. If you do need to change the batteries and you take a wire off and you're not sure where it went, the schematic for the battery wiring is right here. When you're finished in this compartment, just push it to close and lock. In our next compartment forward, we have our pump for our jacks. The fluid that goes into the reservoir can be checked here at the tank by unscrewing the cap. Has a dipstick so we can check the fluid level, add to it if needed, and replace the cap. And you want to check that fluid level when the jacks are all retracted. Forward of that is our ITR Oasis Hydronic heating system. This heats your water, so you have hot water in the coach, and it also heats the convectors so that you have forced air. This has to be turned on outside. in order for your inside panels to be used to control your heat. So if you don't see a green light here, you have to come out and press this button and turn it on. So if that's on, you'll be able to operate the coach inside. If that's off, you have to turn it on here. For any of the igniter, flame out, voltage, or low water warnings, if those lights come on, they will come on red, a solid red. If you see a solid red light there, that igniter or low water issue, whatever those red lights match up to, that will have to be serviced. If any of these green lights at the top are flashing green, they need service. So you want to see solid green here, and you don't want to see any lights that are red down here. There is an additional panel that Newmar supplies with the coach. If the panel inside is not operating, so you don't have hot water or you don't have heat, you can connect this to this cord, and you can operate it manually just like you would in the panel inside for heat and hot water. You'll notice there are green lights here when the pumps are on or other functions are working or operating. If you see a red light on this panel, oh, it's screwed in. If you see a red light, not green, on this panel, it's a silver box, there are fuses behind the faceplate, and the faceplate can be taken off. And on the left and right are the same type of fuses that are in your half bath. So if for some reason you would see that red light on zone 5 or heat loop 1, change that fuse. Right here, the fuses are all on the left and right. After you change the fuse, that light should go green. Then just put your cover back on. There is a Hobbs meter at the top to tell you how many hours in use the burner has been on. This unit needs to be serviced every 12 months in order to continue to operate properly. And in our last compartment forward is our cord reel compartment. Inside our cord reel compartment, we took off the ABS cover here that was covering our fuses and our battery disconnect and our charge bridge solenoid. If any of the, for instance, step cover were not working, or the trailer plug for auxiliary power, or our cockpit lights weren't working, we would come back to this panel, remove it, go to that number of the fuse. Let's say F8 is our spare. So if our cockpit lights weren't working, we'd go to F7, pull that fuse out and replace it, and then go back and check to see if those cockpit lights were working. There are mini breakers at the bottom that are resettable, the same kind as in the half bath that were near the bottom. These are also at the bottom. Just to the right hand side is your inverter. This is your Victron inverter that you can control from the touch panel inside above the entrance door, as long as this switch, the black switch, is turned up or on. If this is turned off, you won't be able to have any view on the inside panel, or if it's just set to charger only, you won't have the inside panel to control it. So always leave your inverter turned on or up or in the direction of the top towards the orange, and that way your interior panel will be able to be used to turn the inverter to on, off, or different view and interior settings. The automatic transfer switch beside the cord reel switches between shore cord and generator. As long as both lines are getting power on the 50 amp cord, both of these red lights are on. If you only see one red light, you only have one leg of power coming in. And that might be if you're using a cheater cord, for instance, you will only see one red light. If you see these lights flashing, there's a fault. That fault will usually be displayed right here, and you can scroll up and down on this screen to the fault screen to see what fault you have. This is a power monitor for the automatic transfer switch, and it will give you the information on your voltage coming in and your amperage used. This cover is for your park cable. This is where you plug in your cable from the park, and if this is going to be used to watch cable TV, you'll have to scan those cable channels on your TV and turn off the Winegard over-the-air TV antenna for you to get that signal. When you're finishing this compartment, the Velcro tabs here and here get lined up with the Velcro there. This panel gets wrapped around and stays in front of those fuses and relays. So it goes this way. So in this compartment, it's the same as the other compartment, except for there is a DEF fill here. So you would fill your DEF here, and this is your fuel for your diesel. It fills the same tank as the other side. So when you first enter your coach, if it's been in storage, you'll need to turn on your battery disconnect, which would have been turned off, turning the chassis batteries off. You can see ours is lit up green right now, so our disconnect is on. So if I want to store the coach, I have to press and hold this for just a second or two, and you can see that it went out. When I'm taking the coach out of storage, I want to press that again up to turn it on. And we talked earlier about the light test, which tests all your marker and brake lights and headlights.